Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another World of Tanks review with T Daisy. Now, we have been slowly progressing up this tech tree of the Japanese mediums, which is technically the only Japanese branch out there currently offered in the game. And I have made a mini-series, on my channel that has been slowly progressing, as I said before, and I believe we started on the Chi Nu. Now, the reason why I didn't do any of the lower tiers is they're too similar. They're too just, generic, low health, low armor, big alpha, whatever you want to call it. Medium tanks and light tanks, and just I don't see any point in that. So before we even start this review, I really just want to go back and take a little look at the previous tanks and how they're going to compare to this tank that we're reviewing today, the Chi-Ri, which is more of a similar type of gameplay and overall, just statistically wise, an upgrade from these predecessors. Alright, so the first one was the Chi Nu, and the Chi Nu was a great tier 5 in my opinion. It was a good tank sniper, and when I mean good, I mean it just, the DPM and just like sheer penetration and okay alpha of this 75 millimeter was just great, and its flexibility and mobility was okay, but it just did a really good job with its gun depression and sniping via crests and hills and cliffs and stuff. So that was the Chi Nu, and like I said, I'll have all the previous playlist, if you will, videos in the description if you guys want to go back and check those out. Alright, so the one thing, I guess if we look at it, I didn't research the top radio on the Chi-To, which was the tier 6, and that also carries over to the Chi-Ri, but I'll get into why I'm not going to research those in a little bit, because they pretty much don't carry over to the rest of the line, and it's just not really worth the XP. So the Chi-To was a overall same exact carbon copy. Well, not carbon copy, but it was an upgrade, but the same exact thing as the Chi Nu, pretty much, with the similar, gameplay of the 75, which is overall just an upgraded 75 with a little bit more DPM. It had 5 extra alpha at 130, a lot more penetration and rate of fire. Just overall a upgrade from the Chi Nu with a great hit point pool of around like 800 once you got it with the upgraded turret and stuff. And that brings us to what we are on now, and that's the Chi-Ri. Now the Chi-Ri in this review is going to be okay. It's definitely not a Chi-To or Chi Nu. Because of its size, its lack of mobility, it's just overall retarded armor scheme, and how it basically has no armor. Its view range is okay, but not up there for tier 7 mediums, and just the overall gameplay that you're going to be having in it is it kind of doesn't fit any role. So let's get on with this review, and let's go over the stats now. Alright, so this Chi-Ri is pretty much going to be a support, almost second line and or sniper, support tank from this Japanese tech tree. So it's the tier 7 medium of the tech tree. It has a great HP pool, just looking at the preliminary stats here, of 1,250. Now that's in line with, I believe, an IS and also the IS-2, which are the main, heavy tanks, also the T-29 of its tier. So you're going to be using that huge HP pool to your advantage, but one of the things I find with this tank is that HP pool really gets negated really easily by its armor. And that's, just common sense, but the armor at 75 millimeters in the front, everything's going to be overmatching your size, your turret, no matter where the hell it hits. And you just have to think and keep in mind that you have a huge HP pool, but your armor is not going to hold up, and you're going to be losing that if you peek out and shoot and take hits, trade too many shots. That's one of the things you really have to keep in mind when using this tank. So other soft stats, it has an engine power of 500 horsepower as a stock engine, 550 as the upgraded engine, but I'm not going to research that because it really, I've played it on the test server with the upgraded engine and it doesn't do anything really. And it's just wasted XP, and if you can look here, it doesn't transfer over to any other tank, so it's really just not worth it in my opinion. Now, if you were on other tanks where the engine really helps and doesn't transfer over, such as the T-44, T-54, stuff like that, A-44, like anything anything like that where it has an engine that doesn't transfer over, but it really makes the tank, then I'd suggest getting it. But on the Chiri, where it's just a hunk of no armor, just a huge silhouette with a lot of HP and a decent gun, it's not really worth it. Alright, so on to any other stats. The speed limit is okay, but you don't really get up to that quickly. You can do it on a flat. It's not like the FV or the Centurion where it's governed on a flat. You can go, up to its max kilometer an hour on a flat. So 42 is not bad for a tier 7 medium, but your horsepower HP to ton ratio is not that good. Traverse speed is 34 degrees per second, which is in line with a heavy. Once again, it's huge armor and silhouette. It just really negate that maneuverability aspect. Skip the average shell damage and shell penetration for now. Its rate of fire. Turret traverse speed is 36. Upgraded turret, that is the best it's going to get, with a view range of 370 meters, which is okay. But that's really not going to do much if you don't have coated optics installed. So other than that, it's really an okay tank. It's not amazing, not terrible, but it just doesn't have enough, good attributes to outweigh the bad. And the bad's really just its size, its lack of armor, its no really alpha on the gun, even though it's a burst cannon. The only real good things are the huge HP pool, its gun depression, and really that's all I can think of other than the burst damage with the top gun. So speaking of burst damage, let's get on with the gun, and we'll do that next. Alright, so this tank really has two viable gun options in my opinion, because they're pretty much the same exact gun. One is just an auto-loading version. So, where is it? That's the one, it's right here. We have both 75s. So their penetration and shell types and all that stuff is exactly the same. The only difference is the top one is an autoloader as opposed to a straight one shot every 2.8 second reload. So what it is I chose to use the autoloader just because it has that great burst damage. You can output more damage, in my opinion, before you get torn to pieces if you're like the last one alive in a game, or if you really need some quick burst damage. If someone peeks out and you just want to track them and then do 2 more shots, it really helps in that way. The dispersion and aim time are exactly the same on both, 0.35 and 1.7 seconds of aim time, and that really helps for the autoloader because you're going to be aimed in by the time your next shell loads, because the dispersion isn't bad at all. And with that being said, it loads on an inner shell reload time of 1 second. So with Brothers in Arms and stuff, you can get that down to like 0.7, so you're going to be just snapping those shots out really quick. Now, the time of a whole 3-round clip loading is 10 seconds on the base. Mine is around 8 seconds just with a rammer, and it's really not that bad at all, and I actually think that's pretty good. As the damage and penetration goes, same thing as the lower tiers. 130 alpha with the gold AP and normal AP, and then 175 with HE. As the penetration is a little bit lackluster for tier 7, but it's doable, and I find that it actually is pretty good, a pretty good fit for the accuracy and aim time. Just got a random invite from someone. Its penetration, that being said, is 155 with AP, 186 with gold AP, and 38 with the high explosive. So overall, its gun is okay. It kind of reminds me of a worse version of the T-71's cannon at that alpha and just aim time and all that good stuff. But what I really just want to stress enough is if you're comparing it to the T-71, this tank is literally a slower, with the cannon, it's just a slower, bigger T-71 if you were just looking at the cannon, because it has no armor. It's just a different play style, and it's really tricky in engagements because you really have to keep in mind of your no armor and HP, and just peeking and shooting is just not a viable option in this. And that's really how I like to play, but in this tank, not so much. I guess next we'll just go over, the basic loadouts, what equipment are viable, consumables, shells, pretty much all the nicks and crannies of what's going to make this tank a bit better than it hopefully can be stock and even upgraded. So yep, let's stay tuned and we'll get on with that. Alright, so as crew skills go, it's a ×3 crew weekend. Oop, sent that guy to the barracks. And I'm really going to try and grind this thing out to get you guys that STA before that mini campaign starts, because I definitely want to. I don't know if it's viable for that, but we'll see. Now you guys can see here my crew is not that good because I haven't really free XP'd anything. I just really except to unstock tanks. I haven't free XP'd tanks themselves, but this crew is just it's okay. So the one thing that I definitely suggest you get before this tank is 6th Sense, because they have no armor, and if you're trying to camo up, which by the way this tank has no camo whatsoever, you're gonna get spotted, and you won't know, and you'll just lose half your HP before you can even snap your fingers. So, with that being said, definitely, first on the commander, you can get all repairs or whatever, and then retrained or whatever, but I really don't care about that at such a low tier. So you can get 6th Sense is a must once you retrain after that 100% or whatever it is on your commander. Then I suggest getting either, repairs, camouflage, maneuverability, perks. I'm going to get repairs because this thing has no camo. On the radio operator, we've got repairs right now. And I'm really going to keep those repairs, and next I'll probably do like a view range or like situational awareness or signal boosting, maybe, not sure. Next on the gunner, right now I have the accuracy perk or skill, I guess it's called, snapshot, because this thing's turret rotation speed is not that good, but the dispersion is okay. But if you're definitely trying to fire while you're turning your turret, snapshot and on the move shooting is good for that. Now after that, definitely repairs and camo. Now on the driver, I have smooth ride because I do a lot of shooting on the move in mediums. That's just how I play. Definitely next, off-road driver and even clutch braking can be worth it, along with repairs and camo. So drivers have the best perks, and pretty much anything on a driver besides like preventative maintenance and firefighting is really worth it. And the loader, obviously, this tank doesn't have bad ammo racks. It's actually okay for its paper-thin armor. The ammo racks aren't that susceptible from what I've experienced. Safe stowage, I'm definitely going to get that still, because that's, it helps on every tank if you're susceptible to getting ammo racked. And even if you're on a normal tank like this, it's fine. And then obviously repairs and camo are probably going to be the most efficient for that. So overall, just the safe stowage with movement, shooting on the move perks as a normal medium with 6th Sense. And then I would actually prefer repairs over camo, just because this tank has no camo. Now by the time I get to tier 10 on the SDB, yeah, I'll probably retrain that for camo. But it's up to you guys. That's just suggestions by me. And obviously, as the equipment goes, you're going to want anything to get this thing's reload down and also extend its view range, because it's only 370. Which that would be obviously a rammer. I chose coated optics over binocs because I do a lot of moving in this tank, because you can't sit still for any amount of time, because Artie is going to pen you no matter what. And also, it's just no armor and huge. So coated optics is good for that. And then, believe it or not, despite being a autoloader tank, it can mount a rammer and vents. So I chose vents to go and get that reload and everything else up there. It can't run a vert stab or anything like that. It can run a GLD, but I don't see that even being viable with a 1.7 second aim time. So really, vents, possibly a toolbox, camo net maybe, I don't know, but I just think vents is the best third option. So as the shells go, I like to run a lot of just normal AP. I actually can add one more clip in there. I do 2 clips of HE for waffles or stuff, because it has a quick burst damage and reload outer clip, and 15 gold AP, but that really just doesn't, it doesn't, it's okay. It just doesn't do the job like heat or APCR would. And then obviously the rest, normal AP. As the consumables go, small repair kit, small first aid kit, and automatic fire extinguisher. Definitely worth it in the long run for those fire extinguishers, especially if you're grinding a tank, trying to power grind. So I guess the last thing to look at before the gameplay is my research on the tech tree and why. I kind of already explained I wouldn't get the engine. And then same thing with the radio. This thing already has enough radio range at 550 for tier 7. And this does go to 750, but it doesn't carry over. So if you go to the STA1, these are the ones that carry over. So that'll be fun. STA1 is definitely going to be the highlight of this line as opposed to the STB, because the Chiri is okay. It's just nothing special. STA, in my opinion, is very good flexible tank. Type 61's just like that, just a little bit not as good at its tier, and then the STB is just amazing. So pretty much we're looking at around 72,000 XP left. Still have my ×3s and everything on this tank for the crew XP and also normal XP, so it will probably have the STA within, let's say, probably like 4 days. So I'll have that bought. I got a credit grind to get the credits to buy it because I'm so low right now. Because I just bought back for that mini campaign that's going on, the 1390, Wheezy, and IS-3, which are all fun tanks. So yeah, let's get on with this gameplay, and hopefully we'll do well. So stay tuned. All right, so this first replay is a replay that one of my friends from Narwhal submitted to me, a Canuck or A_Canuck, but he did, I believe, like 3k damage, some odd, something like that, in his Chiri. We're actually power grinding these pretty much together and platooning for the most part. I rarely play the Chiri in pubs because it is quite frustrating at times. So we've got a standard battle on El Haluf, and it's really just a conventional tier 7 game with the Chiri being a capable tier 7 tank when it's at top tier. However, tier 8 and 9 games, it's alright, but I'd prefer not to play it or grind through it if I had a choice. Alright, so if we get started with this, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit because it is El Haluf and it takes a while to get to the positions that you want to be at. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and make this minimap big and show you guys pretty much what a Canuck is doing here in the new map changes. So what he's going to do is get up to this place, and there you see it. The quick aim time of this tank allows you to just snapshot people, and especially with crew perks and crew skills, especially what I went over before, it's just a really good snapshot tank. Now, the burst damage, if you can see right here, is just ridiculous. So he's able to take out the M7 with a shot in between, but within like 4 seconds. And here's an SU-85. Canuck takes a shot, exchanges that huge HP pool, and he knows he's top tier, so there's nothing really to lose when you're exchanging a shot with that SU-85. Because you know that you do have the HP advantage, and if he continues to do that, you'll just hit him 2 times more before he can shoot again because of that burst damage. So the northwest on this new El Haluf is really all that I won't say all that matters on this map, but in a way that's where all the engagement is going to go on now. There's minimal stuff lower in the map, and definitely in the base, not so much. So there you go. Again, the just mass amounts of burst damage that this tank puts out, especially higher tiers like this, it's going to be more effective because, if you're facing like a T-29 or a Tiger at tier 7, that's really the only tanks that are going to take a while to kill. And even with that, look at this. You put 3 shots into an SU-152, he's already at a little bit below half health, and you reload for 8 seconds. Before you know it, he's just melted. And he can probably put out 1, maybe 2 shots by the time you kill him. And you have 1250 HP, so you can definitely trade that. So here's the KV-1S that's just not even paying attention to Canuck here, and he's doing a great job, making sure that they're not aiming at him and that he can get some shots while they're on the move. And there you go. There's that burst damage again. Take out pretty much half of the KV-1S's hit points in that clip. And all you really have to do is peek on these maps, especially parts like this. Peek and shoot for the three shells, and then pull back. And especially like this, where you only have time to shoot 1, you just pull right back. And there, they can't really do anything to you. So Canuck does miss the second shot on a T-49, and it does get him a few of his hit points taken off, around 200 something. And the T-49 has been tucked up there and hasn't done anything really for his team. So here's an SU. Canuck is able to just put 1 quick snapshot into him, get him down, along with a KV-2. There's 1 bounce, and see if we can shoot him, track him at the same time. There we go. And we're going to pull back, make sure that KV2 doesn't derp us, and just let them come to us. And while that 8-second reload goes by, we'll be able to come back up, put some shots into the enemy, and you know, use every single part of this tank to its advantage. And you know, it does have adequate pen. You're seeing right here that he's getting through these guys pretty easily, and it's not really, you know, an issue at tier 7. But at tier 9, tier 8, yeah, that's a whole different story. And look at this KV1S shooting gold. You know, that's really just all I wanted to show, is just the mass amounts of burst damage it puts out in a good match like this. Unfortunately, Canuck does get pushed without any real support, but look at that. In around 5 minutes, he's able to put out around 2,300 damage in this tier 7 game, which is, for a tier 7 tank in 5 minutes, that's a lot. Normally you don't get that many shots. And by the looks of that, if you just look over here and follow my mouse, that's almost 4.5k win 8, and that's only 2,300 damage. And if he stayed alive longer, he could have done way more and cleaned up this game pretty easily. So that's really just the first gameplay. I wanted to showcase the burst damage, and next we'll hopefully have a replay that can showcase its you know, in a lower tier, well, when he's lower tier, or I'm lower tier, depending on who has the replay, unless someone sends me in one, just to show how this thing will perform, hopefully at a lower tier, while there's tier 8s and tier 9s in the game, especially the artillery and stuff. Now, this game did have artillery, but that northwest corner on El Huluf is really already safe. So that's pretty much it for this replay. I'm not going to show off the battle reports because there's not, you know, I just wanted to showcase the actual burst damage and stuff. So that's pretty much it for this. And stay tuned. We'll have one more gameplay depending on what I can fetch up. I'll either have one of the Chiri that we're reviewing being a low tier, or maybe a really good game at a high tier, like this but better. So yep, stay tuned and we'll bring that up next. Alright, so here's the second gameplay for this Chiri review. I wasn't able to scavenge up a lower tier game with the Chiri being in a tier 9 game, but I was able to get one from Canuck of a pretty decent game in the standard battle on Sand River. It's a good chance to win, and he does well in it. Pretty much just want to get this replay out as quick as I can for you guys, and hopefully continue up, because the STA is the next tank in the line, and I really look forward to that. And I really want to review that one quick too, just to, you know, show you guys how that'll play out. So let's get this started. He's platooned with Kitty Shank, an amped platoon member. I think he knows him from one of his older clans, and he is platooned with him. So I've got some nice, explicit, awesome chat going in all chat. I suggest you guys ignore that. So here we go. I'm gonna forward it a little bit just so he gets into position. He's going north on this Sand River map with a bunch of other mediums. Looks like there's a derp wagon KV2 following him behind, slowly but surely. And you know, this Chiri does really well in these maps such as Sand River because it does have that you know, range and good sniping cannon, especially with the gun depression at hill maps like this. With the sand dunes and whatever you want to call it up here being, you know, useful with gun depression. So right off the bat, damn, this Cromwell gets blapped a couple times, and he's not a bad player by any means, but he does get some spots for Canuck here. So there's the SU and the KV1S, and let's see if we can get some shots in this SU and just burst them out. Just look at that. 3 shots right into the SU, all 3 of them penned, almost 400 damage, and he's already down half his health. So as he tries to run away, we get one more into him before he gets away, and take a few shots at this IS. He was apparently peeking, however he bounced the last shot there. Our eyes may be down because of the you know, Cromwell being blapped to death. We do have some reinforcements of an Arl, and the KV2 is still getting up there, so we're going to have to spot these guys for the Kitty Shank and the Arty. And we've got a few more shots on this KV1S. He completely whiffs panic shots, and man, we're already up to almost 700 damage, and it's only been a few minutes here. We do peek, and Canuck is able to get 2 shots, and the KV1S does shoot him one more time. But the trade of this HP is, you know, pretty generic here. And what we really want to do is, there we go, we want to take out the SU, and Kitty Shank does it for Canuck. And once again, he does peek, however, is able to trade a few more shots with this IS. So Canuck is doing the majority of spotting and, damage up here on this northern flank, and we're going to have to keep these guys spotted for the arty, which is doing work. So we don't want to peek any more than we have to, because people such as this KV-1S are gonna, shoot us. However, that KV-1S totally just derped out and looked the other way. So we may be able to move in here, and ooh, there's enemy artillery. Tiger 1 is moving up, and we can hopefully get in the battle here shortly for Canuck to do some more damage. Now we are gonna have to shoot the SU. Shot him once, and the arty finished him off, which was good. We're able to save a few shots in our clip here. We're not going to reload. Canuck is moving in to go get the IS. Now keep in mind he does have 118 hit points, so he can't get too close to this IS. He can't even ram him, or he's going to kill himself. The RL does get a nice shot on that IS, putting him in hopefully a good position for us to get some damage on. We bounce one shot, pen the second, and finish him off with the third with the help of the RL to get a few shots in there. By the looks of it, this Panther down here at F5, F4 is going to spot this KV-1S who was last spotted around E4. We're going to maybe be able to get shots on him. There's artillery, so Canuck is going to have to stay unlit as long as he can. However, he does not have Sixth Sense at this point, so he's going to have to play it careful. Now, the Chi-Ri is definitely a capable tank when cresting hills, and it's an okay, DPS or burst gameplay, but in late game like this, it really shines because it's able to just pick apart all the lower tier targets and whoever's left who are not focusing you with that DPS. And its DPM is up there, but the alpha is definitely not the best. That's why it is a clip cannon. So we have an RL over there. Wow, got a good RNG roll there. Pretty lucky at that sniping range. Tiger will most likely kill him, maybe artillery, and we lose sight of the RL. So we're gonna clip and go find arty. Now this game was pretty good for the two of them. I mean, Kitty Shank got a lot of finishing off damage in that M12, which is, in my opinion, just a huge splashing machine. Bad RNG there for the Yag Panther GW. Get 2 shots into him, and we're going to clip and finish him off. Looks like he's not even aiming. He was aiming, but he's not reloaded. He doesn't take a shot, and the M44 is finished off by the AT. So once again, a very generic medium play from that Chi-Ri, flexing down that hill, working the ridges, and also using its burst damage to its advantage. That's really all for this replay. I'll have the after battle reports next, and we'll get some closing thoughts before we end this review. Alright, so that pretty much concludes this review of the Chi-Ri, and overall I'll give it probably a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10, just because it has some good things about it, the HP pool, the gun depression, also the clip cannon, and burst damage. However, I just don't see it being, by any means, the best tier 7 medium at all. It's an okay medium, but it just doesn't have enough good attributes to outweigh the bad. And by that being said, bad attributes, pretty much its size, lack of armor, mobility, all that good stuff. So want to thank Canuck for the replays, and also you guys for submitting any of the replays that I will hopefully put out for you guys in the replays of the week and midweek replays. And other than that, that's pretty much it for this review. Comment, rate, subscribe, and happy tanking.